Importance of educating our children about money. Hello, welcome to Women's Financial Empowerment Group. I'm your host, Ruth Agbolosoo. If you are new here, thank you so much for visiting my channel. Please go ahead and subscribe, like this video, and share it with a friend. And if you've been here before, thank you so much for coming again. Please like, share, do all those wonderful things, and hit the notification bell. That way you'll know whenever I upload a new video. On this channel, I discuss all things money, money mindset, making money, saving money, investing money, and more. So you're going to want to come back to hear what I have in store for you. In today's video, I have a special guest, and we'll be discussing a very important topic, leaving a legacy for our children by way of financial education. So please help me welcome our special guest. She's been on before, and I know you guys love her if you've watched us together before. And so I want to welcome her back again, Annette Harris. Annette Harris is an accredited financial counselor and a certified financial fitness coach. She helps the military break through obstacles that seems to hold them back when it comes to managing their finances. Annette helps clients learn and develop better ways to handle issues standing in the way of their financial goals. Help me welcome Annette Harris. Hi, Annette. Welcome.
Hi, Ruth. Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Yes, it is always a pleasure to have you on. I know my audience loves you, so of course I would have to have you on again. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Glad to be here.
Awesome. So are you ready to dive into today's topic?
Yes, absolutely. I've been thinking about this for a while. We discussed having this topic, so I'm very excited to have this conversation with you and everyone else who's watching.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So today we're talking about leaving a legacy for our children through financial education. Now, when we talk about leaving a legacy, most people think about leaving money behind or leaving businesses behind. But today's topic highlights something that a lot of people aren't thinking about when they're thinking about leaving a legacy. And that's why I thought it was important for us to address this today. So I'm really excited about this topic and getting into it and even sharing about what you're doing. So, Annette, we both work with people and their finances. What do you think are some of the problems that people face when they're not financially literate as children?
Yeah, I think not being financially literate in childhood can lead to overspending your money, not understanding how to use a bank account. There's just different things. It just doesn't make children comfortable with talking with their parents about money if they aren't financially literate in childhood.
Okay. I think one of the things that I'm seeing with a lot of my clients and potential clients is that when they come to me, they're reporting that they're making certain mistakes with managing their money based on lack of financial literacy as they grew up. Like they will say things like, well, my mom never told me about how to do this, or like how to budget, or I saw my mom live hand to mouth, or things like that. Or in other cases, like my parents just gave me things, and I just had this idea that I'll always have money, and it was not a big deal. It wasn't anything that I needed to be concerned about. So really there's this overall like nonchalant attitude a lot of times, or the opposite is true. They could be really stressed out about money, but not having that financial background or not having that financial literacy background kind of makes them feel stuck in patterns of managing money in a way that doesn't help them long term. Are you seeing that with the veterans that you work with as well, that same pattern of feeling stuck because of not having that financial literacy growing up?
Yes, absolutely. And like you said, sometimes can lead to that entitlement and dependence if, your parents do constantly give you money and things like that, and you don't understand that background. So there are, military children, like you said, I work with veterans that don't understand because their parents didn't come from money. So now their parents are just like that first generation that has money. So they're all trying to figure out what that means together when they're managing their finances.
Another thing is that children who grow up without financial literacy, they're not able to leave a legacy for their children. Because even if they come from a wealthy background, if their parents have not taught them how to manage that money well, then they end up squandering that wealth. And so it dies out at their generation. So there are several implications to people who are not financially literate growing up. So that's why we're even having this conversation, right? To just show the importance of becoming financially literate at a young age. So we talked about some of the negatives and, the implications of not being financially literate. What are some of the pros? Like if children are financially literate, what are some of the benefits?
Yeah, so there's financial security. Your kid grow up with that sense of financial security. You're able to talk to your children about money, and they're able to understand where you're coming from. There's a tendency of kids to always want to eat out at fast food, but if they understand, how you earn money and how what money goes towards, how to spend it, then it kind of reduces those questions, and they just have a better sense of how you manage finances and how they can manage their finances as well as they grow.
I like that. I think a lot of people think that children just aren't able to understand a lot of things about life, so they don't want to share with them certain things, but I really can relate to what you said about children asking for certain things. I remember sitting down with my very little ones and talking about needs versus wants, assets, liabilities, and they really got it. I mean, and when we started having conversations and asking them, do you want this or do you want that? We don't need that, or no, that's going to be a liability and things like that. So they really got it. And there wasn't this pressure to overspend or things like that. Not saying that they wouldn't want anything. And I don't discourage my children from having things or wanting things, but knowing where it comes from, knowing how to save their money, how to budget their money, those are things that have lifelong benefits, because instead of having that entitlement idea, like you said before, they're able to see, okay, this is where mommy gets the money from, and this is how we should spend it. This is what means a lot to us. And I always talk about mindful spending with my children. So they spend their money on things that are really important to them, that bring them joy, as opposed to just spending it here, there, and everywhere on everything. So I think that in addition to just as a child being able to understand money a little better and asking the right questions, I think as an adult, like you rightly said, it can bring financial security. They're able to sustain themselves when they leave the home. It's not like, they have to be calling you every minute because they're out of cash, but they're able to manage their money in a way that they can survive. Even if they're not making a whole bunch of money, they're able to manage their money better because they're able to make better financial decisions overall.
Also, it lends itself to them having that peace of mind as well. Like you said, your kids are like, they know needs and wants. You have that peace of mind as a parent and, as a child, that where that next dollar is coming from. What you can spend your money on. And, if you're planning for that, that reduces those sleepless nights. I talk to my clients all the time. If you're able to sleep easy at night and not constantly worry about where that next check or that next dollar is coming from, then you've successfully navigated managing your finances.
Yes, that is a good point. Peace is very, very important. And that's something that I teach about, just having that financial peace, knowing where your money is, knowing that, you have a good plan in place. And that's another benefit of children being financially literate. They're able to make plans for their future. People who are not financially literate, they have a harder time planning for their future because certain concepts are just hard for them to manage when it comes to, okay, I want to get a car. What are the steps involved in order for me to get a car or get the type of car that I want, or things like that. The simple things like that can really throw them for a loop, because they really don't have that background to really decipher, okay, is this a good rating? What is my credit score? Do I need to do this? Do I need to do that? So it's very important for children to be financially literate so that they have that foundation for their future and they can plan and execute and achieve their goals. Also, we said that one of the downsides to not being financially literate is they're not going to be able to leave a legacy for the next generation. So the opposite is true, that if they're financially literate, then they will be thinking about leaving a legacy for the next generation, most of the time, at least, I think, and they'll be able to build on that. And the wealth won't just stop there. It will continue throughout generations. So for me, I think that is a fantastic benefit of being financially literate.
Absolutely. And when I talk to my children as well, I'm like, let's plan now for the future, and let's sit down with me as we plan our finances. So as I'm learning, they're learning, as I'm managing my finances, I want them to mirror the same thing so that I can leave that legacy of them understanding their finances, but also pass on whatever, finances I've earned, any assets that I've earned, so that they can do the same thing for their generation that comes after them as well. So it's all about having that conversation and, just educating your children on how yeah. And it's all about educating your children on just financial topics in general.
Okay, yeah, awesome. Most of my clients, when they come to me, they did not have that financial literacy background, like I said before. And so as moms, which most of them are moms, yes, I do have some dads, they're just always not sure about how to educate their children, but that's something that they're really interested in because they're educating themselves through my program. So they also want to educate their children. So for people who didn't have that background of financial literacy when they were children or even as adults, and they're just now learning, what are some ways that they can educate their children?
I think it's all about communication and getting comfortable with talking about money, whether or not that's through games, whether or not it's through you reading a book, or your children reading a book as well. It's all about finding what's going to be the most comfortable for you so that you can talk to your children about money so that it's not intimidating. There's times where people feel just not comfortable with it, not sharing, because we have that history or legacy of not talking about money. So there's different ways that you can, incorporate talking about money in your relationship. And, like I said, games, books, just different things that you can do to educate your children.
Well, I want to go back to conversations. I think that it's important for the discussions that you have to be age appropriate. That's something that can make parents a little bit nervy, but it's important to make sure that it's age appropriate. You don't want to talk to a teenager like the teenager is a baby, and you don't want to talk to a baby as if that baby is a teenager, but you want to find ways to get through to that child based on their age level, and not just age level, I would say their ability to understand, because age and ability to understand is not always the same thing. But it's important to find creative ways and just creating an atmosphere, an inviting atmosphere to have these conversations. I would say particularly with teens, you definitely want to create an atmosphere that they will want to have these conversations. They won't be boring. They won't feel like you're forcing them to sit through a lecture or anything like that, but they feel like, okay, this is something that I really want to hear about. This is something that's going to benefit me in some way, because if they don't have that feeling, then they're going to feel like, my game, I need to go play with my game. I have homework. I need to go watch something. They're going to disengage. So I think a key thing here is to make sure that as a parent, you're creating that inviting atmosphere for your child so they'll want to come in and they'll want to ask questions. So when it comes to conversation, you want to leave room for questions. That's what a conversation is, right? So
yes.
It is not about just lecturing them about money, but asking questions, answering questions, things like that. And keep the talks very simple and transparent. So
yeah, absolutely. Like you said, you don't want to talk to a 5-year-old about investing. You may want to start with just the basics of money. Hey, this is what you can buy with a $5 bill. This is what you can buy with a $10 bill. When you get to the middle school age, start talking to them about saving, budgeting. When you get to that older age, then you can start bringing in those more advanced topics. So like you said, if you bring in advanced topics to someone who doesn't have that background knowledge on it, it can seem intimidating to them, and it could be frustrating to you as well. So, evaluate what your child's knowledge is so that you can tailor the topics around, how you can advance them in understanding more about finances and just managing money in general.
That makes sense. And also, I would also add nurturing that curiosity. So if children see you doing a certain thing, like say, for instance, writing checks, a lot of people don't even write checks anymore, but say if you're writing checks or you're swiping a credit card and a child looks at you and it's like, oh, what are you doing? That's a perfect opportunity for learning. It doesn't have to always be sit them down and let's talk. It could be just out of curiosity. Hey, what is that? Oh, it's a credit card. This is what happens when you use it or whatever. And just allowing them to understand in a more practical, hands-on way. And another way that you already mentioned is by books. There are so many books tailored to teaching children about financial literacy. So if you're a parent that you don't have that background or you don't have the words yet, you're not really sure what to say, you don't have to worry, because there are excellent people out there who have written books, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that, Annette, because I know that you have some books out. But this is something that I've shared a lot with my clients and through YouTube videos, is that the importance of reading, for ourselves and also for our children to gain financial literacy. That's one way. And also games. You mentioned games. There are so many financial literacy games out there. I love games. I love playing as a form of learning. And I'm actually going to link some games in the description that you can try with your children that are fun and also teach financial literacy. And if you don't feel like you're financially literate, that's fine, because you're going to also learn with your children. So I love that. And so back to the whole books thing, being able to find books that are age appropriate and that are engaging and things like that may be trial and error, but it's important to do it. Read the description of the book, the recommended age, pull some books. And if you start to read a book and the child disengages, or you yourself are like, I don't get this, then just choose another book, but don't get discouraged, because there are many out there. And speaking of books, Annette, please tell us about your books, because we really want to know. You got some exciting and gorgeous books out there.
Absolutely. So I was inspired to write a few books after talking to parents about their struggles with their finances. And I found that a lot of those struggles have dealt with them managing their money and also educating their children, because parents love to reward their children with trips or just going out on a weekend movie. So I was like, you know what, let me find a better way for parents to talk to their children about money. So I created the Mommy, Can You Teach Me series of books, and it goes through various age ranges on learning about money. So the first book is the Mommy, Can You Teach Me About Money? It's the basics of money. It's a very interactive story about a mother teaching her daughter about money, how to save money and how she earns money, and then how the daughter can earn money as well. And then it goes into the next book goes into budgeting. It's the mother and daughter and son, they're learning about budgeting so that they plan to set goals, and she works with them on achieving those goals. The book also ranges from saving to investing as the children grow. So, parents can get a bundle of the books and use them for years to come. And all of my books are very interactive. The one it was like a spin-off for that was The Great Money Quest, because I wanted to make it interactive. Like you said, games is a great way to teach your kids about money. And The Great Money Quest is about a child finding money around the house and the mom hiding money to get the child engaged and to interact with them and learning about money. and not just about money, but finding the value in it and the things that you can do with it as well to help others. Because money isn't always about ourselves. It's how can we give back to the community that we're in and to others around us. So just again, the book just goes into a series of that to make learning about money engaging, and it makes the conversation easier to have with your children as well. Like you said, you don't want it to be a lecture. It's all about that interaction. And each book also has questions in the back. So children are able to go back and discuss what they learned in the book, but then they also have questions that encourage the conversation. So I've given children questions. These are questions that you can ask an adult. But then if my questions don't fit, come up with your own questions to make it more relatable to them as well. So that's why I created the Mommy Can You Teach Me series of book, because I want families to enhance their financial literacy.
That is awesome. And you have some of those books there, right? Can you show us just
Yes, so
just the cover of a couple of them or all of
So
them?
this is the Mommy Can You Teach Me series of book, mother and daughter.
Okay.
And I did want to note too, like this is the story of my family. So the girl in the books, her name is Destiny, and that's my daughter. And I've taken some of the things that I've taught her and I've incorporated them into the book. The other one is, like I said, The Great Money Quest. It's about Trey and his mom going on an adventure to learn about money. Again, very interactive. And then the latest in the series was Mom, Can You Teach Me How to Invest? So, Mom, Can You Teach Me How to Invest is about Destiny and Trey on their adventure. And their mom teaches them about just different investments, low, medium, and high risk investments, and how they can incorporate that into their financial future and grow their wealth. So, very excited about this series. More to come, that will be more advanced into adulthood. But, my main focus was on children and their financial literacy before they leave the home.
Awesome. I love it. I really like what you're doing. I think that we need to see more of that, especially with people of color on the covers. And I know you, so I know they're not just for people of color, but I think that it's important to have that representation. So I applaud you for what you're doing, and I wish you a lot of success with that. I know that people are loving it so far. So let's tell our audience like how they can get a copy of the book.
Yeah, absolutely. So these books are on Amazon, and you can get them via Kindle if you have a Kindle, or paperback as well. They're also on Barnes and Nobles and various other retailers that are just picking up the books as the distribution increases. And they're also on my website as well. As you know, just Google Harris Financial Coaching and you can find more about the books there.
Awesome. And I'll leave links in the description so that people could have a direct link to get to the book. That sounds really awesome. So how can they, I know you also work with veterans for, helping them manage their finances. Like I actually said that in the beginning before you came out. But if there are any veterans watching this and they want that personal touch because, I've not been a veteran, but I know that there are unique needs that veterans have. How can they get in touch with you?
Yes, so my website is harriswealthcoach.com. So if you Google that, I'm out there, or just put in, Google Harris Financial Coaching. I think it's on the first page of Google. So you can find me there, find out more about my services as they relate to financial coaching and also career coaching as well.
Okay, that sounds amazing. Thank you so much for sharing all of this knowledge with us and for this conversation. I always love talking to you. It's always
We always have a great
Yes, we do. I mean, this was a shorter one than our usual conversations, but at the end of the day, we just want to let it be known that, our children are important to us. Yes. So we want to make sure that we give them that solid foundation so that when they become adults they're not making the same mistakes that we made, but they have a better future because of what we do for them right now. So it's important to leave a legacy, and part of that legacy is financial literacy. So thanks again, Annette, for joining us, and everyone watching this, please go support Annette. Her books are beautiful, well written, and I just want to see that she succeeds with this because she's great, and her mission is one to be supported. So again, her information is in the description, and thank you so much for being here, Annette.
All right, thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you're watching this video and you are struggling with your finances, you feel stressed out while managing your money, there are certain things that you need to put together, and you're just like, I don't know how to make these decisions, or I've made this decision before and things have not panned out. Help! I am here to help you. I am a financial coach and consultant, and that's what I do. I help people manage their money with less stress so that they can embrace a life of abundance. So if that's something that you are interested in getting help with, please feel free to see my information in the description box and set up a free call with me so we can figure out your situation and how I can help. And if we're a good fit to work together, then let's do it. Let's do it. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please go ahead and like, share, comment what you liked, all of that good stuff, and follow us on social media. And remember, change your mind, change your pocketbook. See you in the next video.